Hey, welcome back to Hey Duckman, also known as the Midday Q&A. That's right. So for those of you that have questions, this is the place to ask them. If you ask anything during the week, I'm going to try to answer in the middle of the video, and that's what this video is all about. Today we're going to discuss a couple things that I've been asked about, one of which is the Nissan Juke. That stupid little car over there. And that's right, that thing is a puke. It's the worst car that I've ever owned. Well, I don't really own it. It's actually got a lease on it. I wouldn't even buy that car, and I wouldn't even pay for one of those cars. That thing has just been so damn terrible. But we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about my video editing software. I keep getting asked, hey Duckman, you know, what video editing software do you use? And I actually use a free software suite that's, well, actually, it's a really good software. I gotta say, it's got some really great features in it. I mean, you've seen some of the stuff that I do, and some of it's really high quality, you know, I mean, with me and Delmon in the same frame, I mean, that's some pretty interesting editing, and it does have the power to do that. But it's called KDENLIVE, and it is available for the Linux platform. So if you run Linux on your machine, you could run it on there. They also have a Windows-compatible version. I'm not familiar with it. I think that's still in beta, so, you know, no warranties. I really can't help you with it if it has a problem, but KDENLIVE, and you can download it. I'll put a link down below in the video description if you're interested in it. I don't get anything from that. Like I said, it's a free software. Even the guys that put it up don't get anything for it. But it's a pretty interesting software, and it certainly gets the job done, and that's actually what this is going to be editing on now. Now, if you don't already notice it, this video is in 4K, and that's something I started doing about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I got some new camera equipment, and I've been running things that are super high definition, or ultra high definition, they call it. Essentially, it causes my videos to take 4 times as long to process, and it's kind of a nuisance, but it's literally 4 times the size of a 1080 frame, so it takes 4 times as long to process. It takes a lot longer to edit, because when I make the cuts on the screen and I have to wait for the updates, that's just the way it goes. So my videos have been a little more sporadic than they had been, just because editing takes so much longer than it used to. I mean, 4 times the amount. If I could cut a video, let's say in 90 minutes, now it takes me 6 hours. So what I do is I try to cut up the video as much as I can, and I hit the render button, and I let it do its rendering, and then the next morning when I get up, then I upload the file, and the file is, you know, 3.5 gigs. The files used to be, you know, 500 megs, 600 megs, maybe a gig for a long video, but 3.5 gigs, that takes a long time to upload, and even longer for YouTube to process. So most of my videos have been going up midday. Let's let that bus pass. So most of my videos have been going up midday as a result, whether it be technical stuff or whether it be one of these midday Q&A videos. So if you're wondering why my videos have been more sporadic updates, that's one of the reasons why. It's just editing is taking a lot longer. Plus I've been busy at work. I've been really busy at work. I mean, a whole day on Friday, put in the 16, 18 hours, something like that. A long ass day. Sunday was the same way. Yesterday wasn't too bad. The fact that I had to take the Nissan Juke to the shop, which is going to be our story that we're going to talk about today. But I found myself sitting in a service center for something like 6.5, 7 hours. Ended up with a sore back, sore neck, sore shoulders, sore everything from their stupid little seats that are in there. I probably should have just walked down the street or even walked home. I think I would have been better off after being there for that many hours. Anyways, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, plug that dingle bell you see down there next subscribe button. That way you get updates every time I upload a new video. Check out Duckman Cycles VW Garage up on a Facebook group page. And if you would like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks a lot, you guys. We'll be back right after the intro. Just started trying to record a video, and started raining. I mean, already started raining. Just pushed the car out. I mean, I just pushed it out. All right, going back in the garage. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. It happens every time I push the car out. Every single time. A lot of people have given me some comments about the Nissan Juke. Nissan Juke. And about their experiences with them, and they may be owners of them. They may have borrowed one, or maybe they drive their moms, since it is kind of a vehicle that I think has been oriented specifically towards females. I'm not saying that it's, you know, junk just for that reason, but I'm saying it doesn't appeal to me, being an adult man who's 6'3", you know, 260 something pounds. That car is just not intended for somebody like me, especially for somebody with my tastes. the Z was more intended for me, which is the reason why, even though it's a small car, I fit in it. Anyways, we're going to talk about a little bit about that car and the experience that I had with it this week. Yeah, it actually had some pretty serious problems. Obviously, this car is really dirty. One of the reasons for that is because this is actually a rental lease coming from Enterprise. I don't pay for it. This is not a car that I would ever pay for. This is something that was given to me for free for work to get things done. And I don't know who did it, but somebody came along and decided to play a little joke on me. And the J fell off of the car the first day I had it. But what had actually happened is somebody decided to add a P to it. And I don't know who it was. It might have been one of my customers, maybe one of my friends, maybe one of my YouTubers that has driven down the road here that has seen me discuss this car and my opinions of it. And I've been talking about doing that myself for a long time, but somebody actually jumped the gun and got me. And whoever it was, you know, I mean, haha, real funny. I reviewed my security footage. I can't figure out who did it and when, but it didn't happen here, not while it was on my property, so I guess it's vandalism, and I probably should report it to the police. But yeah, this car is a puke, and we're going to stick with that, because that is its name, officially. This is a Nissan Juke. Anyways, laughs set aside, let's go ahead and discuss what happened to this thing this week. So anyway, through last week, this thing had been running really, really poorly. It's just worse than even it had before. Normally when I get on it, you have to hold the throttle down to the floor for like 2 seconds before it would actually start to spool up the turbo, and the thing would then shift the transmission and give you any motion that's really worth moving for. And over time that progressively got worse, so you can almost count to 3, 4, 5 seconds, and it just did not have the power that it used to. And it got to the point where you had to floor it just to get it to do anything. And I said, you know, I don't remember the car ever being that bad before. Just what the hell's wrong with this thing? Well, it was due for service last Friday, and if you remember, if you've been watching my videos, you remember that I just got buried in service tickets, just completely buried. So I missed the service appointment for it. I had to go service other things for other customers. So this car was unfortunately on the back burner. And I told the company this that was dispatched to me, because the car actually belongs to them. They have the lease on it. And they were like, oh, don't worry about it. You know, you can handle it later. Well, anyway, it happened on Sunday. Of course, nobody's going to be open on Sunday. Saturday was my day off, where I'm working on my own projects and I'm not taking dispatch calls from anybody. So I was continuing on my own life on Saturday. So Sunday came and went, another really, really busy day. The shop was open that I could have taken it to, but I didn't have time for that. Sunday night, actually, I had a service ticket about 30 miles away from here, and this thing was just, oh, God, it was terrible. It wouldn't hardly idle even. I mean, the RPMs are going up and down. It had this other thing that it was doing. You get on that gas pedal and you try to get this thing going. When you're finally up to speed, if you let off of it, what would happen is it felt just like somebody stepped on the clutch and floored the throttle. And the RPMs would build and go way past the red line. And I think red line on here is 6. And it would go way past the red territory. And I mean, it would wind that tachometer all the way around. And it would go to like 8,500 RPMs. And I don't know how that engine didn't blow. I mean, that thing was just whining like I have never heard a little engine. The little engine that could. I mean, this thing was just spinning like crazy. And that turbo sounded like a 747 jet flying over my friggin' house on approach to the Pensacola airport. Once again, I don't know how that happened. I'm not even on the throttle. Not even on the throttle when it would do this. As soon as you would let go, it would just wah! And it would stay there for a couple seconds, and then it would come back down. And one time, even though it was in drive, it was just like it was in neutral. After that, I get on the gas and it wouldn't go anywhere. I actually had to stop the car, put it in park, put it back into drive, and then continue on my way. Frustrating as it is. I'm a manual transmission guy. I don't know why all the computers stop you from doing certain things, or why they have certain mechanisms that do that stuff, or even what faults them. I have no idea. Anyways, Monday morning I got more service tickets, and I had to say to the dispatch center, listen, I can't go anywhere. This car is having big problems, and they wanted me to go to Tallahassee, 3 hours from here, 6-hour round trip. There's no way I could take a car that's dying that far. It has to go to the shop. So I called over to the shop, which is only about 1.5 miles from here, 2 miles-ish. They didn't have a slot, but they told me just bring it anyway, and we'll get you in there somewhere. And sure enough, they're really good guys. They got the car in there, and they started working on it. It sounded to me and felt to me, based on the harmonics and the vibration, that it was probably one of the center 2 cylinders, you know, cylinder 2, cylinder 3. Typically, if it's on the end, you won't have the same kind of vibration. It'll be more of a rocking motion, and this was kind of just a smaller vibration. So I said it had to be one of the center cylinders is just misfiring, and you know how they are. You go into an auto shop and you're going to tell the guys how to do stuff, and they don't want to hear that. They all roll their eyes. Yeah, sure, that's what it is. They went ahead and threw it back there, and they ran a diagnostic on it, and they came back and they shook their heads, and they said, you have a good ear. And I said, well, how's that? They said, well, cylinder 2 was actually misfiring. So what do you think is causing it? And I said, well, we think it's going to be the coil, so we're going to try switching the coil out first. No problem. So they went and they had to take the entire plenum apart, all the intakes, manifold and everything, and I imagine the 350Z is probably designed much the same way, to get to the coil to be able to replace it. And upon replacement, it was still running like crap. So the next thing they did was they pulled out the spark plugs, and let me show you this. Obviously, it's still raining on me. But check out these spark plugs. Look at how uneven they are. This one looks really, really white, like it's running super lean. This one here is a little less white, slightly more brownish, closer to normal, but again, extremely lean. This one is black. It's actually all sooty and black. But the worst one of all was this one here. Look at the electrode on that. That electrode is gone. It actually burned right off. And then the plug turned black. So obviously it fouled itself. Usually a lean condition and extremely running hot would cause these. The mechanic said that this was not on cylinder number 2, the one that had the coil replaced, but that car was essentially, it's eating itself alive if it's running this lean and it's going to blow itself up. Now, one of the next things they suggested that it could be is perhaps the fuel injection system is not doing what it's supposed to do, or there's a good possibility that it could be the fuel injectors, it could be the computer, it could be the wiring. They said, you know, go ahead and drive it after this and see what you think. And I don't know what those guys did. But after I got that car back, I mean, it was a major transformation. The thing just runs completely different than it had. Of course, all my spark plugs are going to roll on the floor here. But I still can't get over the fact that this one is just completely burned off. I mean, not broken, burned right off. And they stink, too. They don't smell like typical engine soot. They actually smell like hot metal. You know, like these things had seriously been cooked, and I believe that. I mean, just looking at the condition of these things are just terrible. Absolutely terrible. But they were really nice enough to give me the spark plug so I could talk about it in a YouTube video today, but that is just horrid. So while the car was in there, they looked at a few other things. It turned out it also had a bad strut in the front left, and you know, 50,000 miles, come on, we already got spark plugs that are fried, burned, coils that are gone, and the strut is shot. 50,000 miles, the car is not even 2 years old yet. I mean, it's like 22 months-ish, somewhere in there, and it's already in that bad a shape. I don't know if it'll be worth saving, you know, after 100,000 miles, if it even makes it that far. I don't know, it's tough to say, tough call. But, yeah, Nissan Juke. Terrible, terrible car. If I insult you because of that, hey, I'm not even sorry. I'm not even sorry. You could have had a different taste in automobile, and this is a Renault by any other name. If you know, Renault and Nissan had a merger, and that Renault actually operates Nissan. That's actually what they do, and a lot of the Renault designs made their way over to Nissan. The Z actually came about right about the same time as the merger, so Renault did have a little bit of influence in it. Still really got the Nissan blood underneath it. But some of the parts, as I take them off of there, I do see the Renault logo on that because Renault has actually manufactured some of the parts to it. But this car is just in a completely different league. 130,000 miles, and the only thing that's broken on it is the door handles. Door handles. Really, seriously, the door handles went. Oh, I almost forgot. The little chip reader in the key switch also was starting to fail. It would work sometimes and sometimes it wouldn't, so you know, that cost me another $50 too. So I almost forgot about that. Sorry, you guys. The thermostat and the radiator also went bad, so I almost forgot about those. But when you add up all those little pieces and the cost of what it took to repair those things, I mean, I'm only up for a few $100s. And this thing is still cooking. And it's been running since 2005. It was built in 04, so the car is 15 years old now. That thing is too, and it's already ready to blow up. Anyway, no more about the Nissan Juke. Let's talk about Eleanore some more over here. Digging through my mess, I got 2 of the bottom tins right there, and I've got a new pulley tin. And you might be saying, hey, you don't need to replace that, you've already got one. And actually, I do need to replace it, because you see this big hole that's right here? That tin happens to have the piece of metal that covers that hole. So this is actually the correct pulley tin for that breastplate. So I don't have to do any of the welding to patch that hole. That's a nice thing. That's actually going to save me a couple steps. So I'm really, really happy and pleased with that. We're actually going to do more about this in a tech video tonight, so you're going to want to look for it. So check out Duckman Cycles VW Garage. Make sure that you subscribe over there. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Please give me that thumbs up, licky, licky, likey on this video. Pluck the dingle belly on every one of my channels that you subscribe to. I thank you very much, and you guys are the ones that motivate me. So thanks very much for watching, you guys. I really do appreciate you. we'll see you later with our tech video. And I'm actually hearing my phone going off right now. That might be a service ticket, so I'm going to have to go check that thing. But anyways, we're still going to get some tech work done tonight in the video anyway. So once again, thanks a lot, you guys. We'll see you next time.